Biology Q&A session. I'm Scarlett. Today I'm joined by the UCSF scientists, Mr. Kai Trepka, the lead author, and Dr. Peter Turnbaugh, the senior author of their paper about the influence of a common chemotherapy drug called capecitabine on the gut microbiome. Great to have both of you here today.
Hi, happy to be here.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's start with the beginning of the story. For both of you, what draws you to researching the chemogut microbiome dynamics, and why did you choose this particular drug, capecitabine?
Within this group, I was fascinated by the concept that these bacteria can change how the drugs that we take work. I'm in medical school in addition to graduate school, and I've had a lot of clinical interests working with patients who have cancer. This project seemed like the perfect intersection of the biology of the gut microbiome with the clinical problem that is cancer.
Our lab is really interested in kind of interactions between drugs and microbes, and we're especially fascinated by cancer chemotherapy in particular for a couple different reasons. One is that those drugs were actually discovered originally as antibiotics, so they are very potent weapons against killing bacteria, and turn out also to have effects on cancer cells. So that gives the idea that maybe if you take a different drug for chemotherapy, that could alter the microbes that are in our gut. And then secondly, as I think most people appreciate, the stakes are really high in cancer chemotherapy, both in terms of whether or not you effectively treat the cancer, but also the wide array of side effects of chemotherapy. And so these are drugs with a lot of challenges. Even minor improvements could have a big effect.
Yeah, it's truly exciting field to research the gut microbiome and its interplay with chemotherapy. So among all the chemotherapy drugs, what makes capecitabine such an attractive candidate for research?
Capecitabine is a really important drug. It's used as a first-line treatment in colon cancer and in breast cancer, which are extremely common in the American population. And beyond this, more than half of patients taking capecitabine get some severe side effects. Up to 10% of patients on this drug have to stop taking the drug. We have done we as in the scientific community, has done a lot of research in do human genetics influence who gets really bad side effects? The answer seems to be not really. Using human genetics alone, we can't really predict who's going to have a really bad time on chemotherapy versus who will do okay. And this brought up the question, if human genetics don't explain this, maybe there's something inside of our gut that can help us understand why some patients take chemo and feel fine, and other patients take chemo and just feel awful.
The other reason why capecitabine was really intriguing is that, traditionally a lot of chemotherapy is delivered by infusion, so it goes straight into the bloodstream, where most of our microbes are found in the gut. So capecitabine is actually an orally administered drug, so you're taking it as a pill. It's also a prodrug, which means that it has to get metabolized in the body to form the active compound. There's a lot of steps in between that pill that you swallow and the cancer that provide opportunities for microbes to kind of step in.
Okay, thank you. And finally, for the patients and families who might be listening, what do you think is the biggest message of hope that they can take away from this research? Looking ahead, how could this finding change the experience of chemotherapy?
I think it's hard to make a prescriptive claim based on a largely observational study. But the biggest concept to take away is that taking drugs has a really big effect on things that go on inside of you. It's not only changing the cancer, it's changing the microbiome. And we need to keep investigating how it changes the microbiome and how that might impact different treatments. I wouldn't say we have specific clinical advice, but I think the notion that it's okay to not be sure about what happens. And also you might have a very different reaction than someone else. Maybe because of your genetics, maybe because something else, and also maybe because of the bacteria inside of you.
Yeah, I think Kai and I are probably both sharing that we're hesitant to kind of feed into the hype around the microbiome, and we don't want to make promises to patients that we have the cure for cancer. But I think studies like this really emphasize that there is some really important biology there. And so especially now, it really emphasizes kind of the importance of more funding for basic science research and pushing this into clinical translation. That's not something that happens with one paper. It's going to take many years of really hard work.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of years to really see a significant scientific breakthrough, and usually takes many time and efforts for us to reach the final point. But even though we cannot say anything determine it at this point, I still think it's a very promising direction of research for us to dig deeper into in the future. Okay, I think this is a very great place to end. Thank Kai and Dr. Turnbaugh again for taking the time to speak with us today. And to read the article or learn about more information, please check our website, breakingdownbiology.com, linked in the bio.